Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Dr. Asa explains. Today's topic is hormones and endocrinology. This is chapter 16.4 in Orange Book. However, the book actually needs to be supplemented with these PowerPoint slides. So make sure when you're studying this chapter, so pay extra attention to the PowerPoint slides and then also attended the lecture. So actually cover the whole thing, not just rely on the book chapter itself. Okay, let's get started. So this is the hormones chapter. Okay, so 16.4. So last time we did population ecology. Today we're going on hormones. We have this following student learning SLOs outcomes that for this chapter. So hormonal regulation, hormone types, hormone biosynthesis and secretion, hormone target cell interactions. So under hormonal regulation, we'll talk about understanding of the role of hormones in regulation and coordination of some physiology processes in multicellular organisms. We'll look at the hormone types, peptide hormones, steroid hormones, amino acid hormones, and their mechanism of action. And we'll look at some hormone biosynthesis and secretion, um, including some organs and glands that actually involve in hormone production. And then we'll look at hormone target cell interactions. And you can see here in this little infographic, we will actually cover this specifically the endocrine systems, and then you can see the organs actually specifically involved in some specific hormones and their actions. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so there is a little, the chapter starts with a little case, basically talking about Major League Baseball in the 80s to the 2000s, and then how actually some hormones, that there was a widespread abuse of some anabolic steroid, which is also to enhance athletic performance. So, and that's affected the whole MLB according to this case study, and basically these are directly linked to the hormones. We will talk about it. Steroids are hormones that they help regulate body functions, but anabolic steroids, the one in this case, they are synthetic hormones that they mimic male sex hormone testosterone. And if they are misused, they are actually associated with many health risks, uh, like psychiatric disorders, kidney, liver, cardiovascular damage. So, okay, so what is a hormone? And so let's take a look at hormones in general. Okay, so hormones, they are chemical messengers. So as you know, our cells in the body, they are very diverse and they communicate with each other. So this communication done by either chemical or some electrical signals. Okay, so there are two major organ systems. One is nervous system, which is signals primarily electrical and transmitted with using neurons. The other one is endocrine system, which is this chapter, which is there are glands and tissues specifically produce and secrete chemicals to initiate, maintain body functions. The hormones are these chemical signals. They released by endocrine cells and carried out to specific locations via blood, and then complete to a target cell, and then complete a specific function. Okay, so this is done by circulatory systems, which carries the hormones, and hormone can bind to go and bind to a specific target cell with using some receptors or no receptors, maybe directly, depending on what type of hormone is it. So there are two groups of hormone in this context. One is lipid soluble hormones, the other one is water soluble hormones. Lipid soluble hormones, like steroid hormones, they can pass plasma membrane directly without needing any receptors, and then so in the plasma membrane and can go inside the cell and then binds to receptor inside the cell, and then go find a specific target cells. So that's lipid lipid soluble, like this one here. You can see straight can pass through plasma membrane and reach to the target cell and regulate the gene there. The other group is water soluble hormones. These are actually like are also called, like example is peptide hormones. They they cannot pass through actually plasma membrane easily. They have a surface receptor here on the plasma membrane, and so they indirectly actually reach their target, though they don't pass directly plasma membrane. They go through second messengers and then protein kinases, cellular response at the very end. You can see here. So insulin is like this, is a water-soluble hormone. Okay, so they bind on plasma membrane. Very different than these guys, lipid soluble. They don't bind on plasma membrane. They directly pass PM and then go inside. So that's their hormonal action. So we have in human, we have a human endocrine system. That's why this chapter is also called endocrinology. So they make and secrete these hormones. They are mainly called endocrine glands. You can see here the pictures of endocrine glands in human and several locations, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 major locations that actually they secrete hormones. Okay. So let's take a look at some of these major endocrine system glands. So they are also called endocrine glands, and then they make hormones. So some of them are in brain, like you see here. So the first one, which is hypothalamus, you can see hypothalamus, which is basically a gland in the brain. So, and then main center of the endocrine system also at the same time. So it's a location in the brain, receives info from the nerves, and directly control another gland, which is called pituitary gland, also in the brain. So different hormones actually link to different one of these 9 different glands. So in brain we have 3 of them, and then we have 2 of them, and they are under hypothalamus in general. Okay, so we are gonna see some specific hormones like CRH, GnRH, dopamine. These are under hypothalamus, and there is another gland which is called pineal gland, and that's actually a we can see here there is one specific hormone called ADH, which is under pituitary gland. You can see ADH, which is antidiuretic hormone. So it makes when hypothalamus receives information from the body tissues, they are dehydrated, it makes ADH hormone. And you can see here that signals the kidney cells, okay, absorbs more water, less urine is produced, and serious dehydration is prevented. Okay, so you can see they are so they talking between brain and the kidney tissues here, and then regulating any possibility of water loss because there is dehydration. So pituitary gland, which is again in the brain, like some oxytocin, ATH, like we just seen, FSH, GH type of growth hormones are all there. So they might be posterior pituitary or anterior. They might be actually posterior. One is produce ADH, oxytocin specifically. And these are under hypothalamus in the brain, which controls 2 kinds of hormones we just talked about, maybe releasing hormones that stimulate specific hormones. So one hormone is HGH, which is human growth hormone. You can see in this picture, which is promotes development of all parts of the body. Too much HGH produce gigantism, and then too little HGH produce dwarfism. So HGH. Okay, so these are under pituitary gland in brain. So another place is so we just seen three of these glands. Now number four is thyroid, another very important one. Thyroid glands, they also produce specific hormones like thyroxine, calatonin. So that's located in front of the neck and produce thyroid hormone and responds to thyroid stimulating hormone TSH. Okay, so TSH. Thyroid hormones affects many functions in the body, like metabolic rate, heart rate, blood pressure, tolerance to cold, development, maturation of bone and nerve cells in children. So there is one case here, which is iodine, which is a micro trace element that required for normal thyroid function, and thyroid hormone cannot be synthesized without iodine. So if there is not enough iodine, there's actually lack of thyroid hormone, goiter. There is a goiter, like an increased size there, eventually develops. So um, this is a iodine deficiency. And there is some more information here about the thyroid and metabolism. So you can read about. The next one is pancreas, very important one. Pancreas is actually um, produces two very important hormones. One is insulin, as you all know, probably, and the other one is glucagon. Um, they both important in actually managing body energy supplies, especially sugar levels. So insulin and glucagon. Okay, so they are antagonistic hormones. That means they counter each other. So they do opposite things, and you can see here how each of them work. And as you see here, pancreas releases the insulin, which basically from the beta cells maintain lower the body blood sugar levels. And, so glucagon does the opposite, which actually, if the glucose levels are too low, glucagon comes in the from the pancreas and actually try to increase well, try to make liver breaks down more glycogen and make more glucose so they increase the glucose levels. These are from pancreas organ. So diabetes obviously is a big major this disease, diabetes mellitus, which is basically an hormonal disease. One out of 12 Americans have this. One every 3 Americans will be affected by maybe 2050 estimated. So there is two types at least. There might be three types, but two major types. Type 1 is the one that not enough insulin in the blood. So is insulin dependent diabetes. Type 2 is there is some insulin, but actually it doesn't work because of maybe some other reasons that cells cannot take it and because of resistance to insulin resistance. Okay, so and there might be a gestational diabetes also in women. Treatments, type 1 patients directly takes insulin, type 2 patients actually it could be linked to some overweight and underactive kind of situations. Obesity can cause diabetes, maybe, possibly, or so and this is just showing you how diabetes has to actually measure blood sugar levels daily and actually take insulin or some other pills to regulate. So that's pancreas. The next one is adrenal glands, and that's something to do with the stress like cortisols, dopamine, other epinephrine. Stress hormones, which is cortisol, make make muscles resistant to glucose also, which you can see also can be linked to diabetes. Epinephrine, which is also called adrenaline, and norepinephrine, which are fight or flight hormones. They are water-soluble hormones and can be activated very quickly, last minutes or hours. Again, there are some examples of these hormones and how they work. So you can see here some other examples of like ACTH, adrenocorticoid hormone, which is synthesize and secrete a family of lipid-soluble hormones called corticosteroids, which include cortisol. And I mentioned this is the stress hormone specifically. Adrenal, continuing these adrenal glands, cortisol helps and promotes synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrates like proteins and fats. It's energy needed when the body is coping with stressful situations. When cortisol increases energy for vital functions, it can suppress less important functions such as body's immune system. So you can see one example here, 2-minute power pose that can boost your performance. Again, these are assumed they are actually, because it's a link to this study, actually shows a link between cortisol, lowering the cortisol levels of hormones and increasing sex hormones, testosterone. We will see also coming up. So next glands and organs, they are actually gonads and sex hormones. So these gonads are sex glands, and they are like ovaries in females and testes in male. Produce 3 major hormones: estrogens, progestin, and androgens. So these are so testes produce testosterone and androgens. Testosterone is a sperm producing hormone and plays a role in sperm production. And for male, so estrogen and progesterone regulate other like menstrual cycles and support pregnancy. All those explained here. So there is more information here about the male, female on the left, and male androgens, and mainly testosterone. There are some chemicals that can affect balance the sex hormones. Maybe a drug used in breast cancer treatment decreases estrogen levels for the patients of breast cancer patients, and then synthetic hormones useful for boosting function in individual deficient in particular hormones. So this is shown here how breast cancer drug treatment works. So there is some more information here about the evolution connection you can read about and related to these hormones. And lastly, we have actually these 4 hormones that they are human happiness hormones. They are DOSE, D-O-S-E. D is stands for dopamine, which is trying something new, listening music, reward chemical. So that's an adrenal gland. O is oxytocin, which is the love hormone. Get or give a message, spend time with friends. It's in pituitary gland. S is for serotonin, which is the mood stabilizer. Get some sunlight, exercise, and you can actually increase serotonin levels, which is in pineal gland. And then E is endorphins, pain reliever hormones. Regular exercise, yoga, meditation, laughter. They can increase endorphin hormone levels, which is found in hypothalamus gland and pituitary gland. So just to recap, this is basically all summarized here, and this is chapter 16.4, hormones. So read the summary here and then go back, look at individual slides, and then don't forget actually look at the book, chapter 16.4. Thank you for watching, and please feel free to comment and like, and happy studying.